Today we're talking about some properties of multiplication that make it easier for us to solve math problems. The first one I want to tell you about is called the identity property. And the identity property says that the product of any number and 1 is that number. For example, 7 times 1 equals 7. 25 times 1 equals 25, and 1,392 times 1 is still just 1,392. The product is what you call the answer in a multiplication problem. Now you try. Solve the following problem. 56 times 1. This may seem difficult because 56 is a larger number, but the identity property makes it easy. The identity property, remember, says that anything times 1 keeps its own identity. It stays the same. So 56 times 1 is just 56. The zero property is another easy one. The zero property says that the product of any number and 0 is always 0. Here are some examples. 7 times 0 is 0, 25 times 0 is 0, 1,392 times 0 is 0. Anything times 0 is going to equal 0. Remember, product is what you call the answer in a multiplication problem. Now you try. Solve the following problem. 356 times 0. Well, 356 is a pretty big number, but I don't even have to think about this. The zero property tells me that 356 times 0 is 0. The commutative property. This one says that factors can be multiplied in any order and the product will still be the same. I like to think of the word commute. The word commutative has the word commute in it. If you commute, it means that you travel. Some people have a long commute to get to work each day, and that means that they have to travel far from their house to get to work. So when you think about the commutative property, think about moving. Here are some examples. The commutative property says that 8 times 9 is the same as 9 times 8. You can move or flip-flop the numbers, and the answer product will be the same. 34 times 75 is going to be the same as 75 times 34. 12,392 times 842 equals 842 times 12,392. Now you try. Solve the following problems. All right, well, I know that 4 times 3 is 12. But guess what? 3 times 4 is also 12. And that's what the commutative property tells me. It saves a lot of time because if I know what 4 times 3 is, I don't also have to memorize what 3 times 4 is. I know they are the same, 12. The last one is very helpful, the distributive property. The distributive property says that numbers inside parentheses can be multiplied by a number outside and then added together. Okay, I know that sounds confusing. Let's look at some examples. For example, 2 times 3 plus 4 is the same as 2 times 3 plus 2 times 4. Let's look at an example of the distributive property and how it could be helpful for solving math problems. Let's say we're trying to solve a multiplication problem like 4 times 16. This might be kind of tricky because 16 is a larger number. I don't have my 4's multiplication facts memorized all the way to 16. What the distributive property tells us is that we can break numbers into smaller pieces and then multiply them and add them together. Let me show you. I could think about breaking 16 into a 10 and a 6. And the distributive property tells me that I'm allowed to do this. It says I can do 4 times 10 plus 6. And to do that, I just do 4 times 10. And then I do 4 times 6. And then I just add them together. So I was able to solve the equation 4 times 16 using the distributive property.